The real estate market as we know it is about to change forever for real estate agents and for consumers. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, you're probably going to wonder what real estate agents' intents actually are, because real estate agents have been accused of price fixing, and the National Association of Realtors just lost a lawsuit costing them over $1 billion. What's your experience? If you have an experience with a real estate agent, do you feel like they've been price fixing? Do you feel like you're even responsible as a seller to pay for a buyer's agent commission? Make sure you drop a comment below, but let's get into the video. So real estate agents through history have by some people been accused of making way too much money. Some real estate agents have been accused of being incompetent and not knowing how they are even allowed to be in the industry. Some people think it's too simple or too easy to be a real estate agent when you're dealing with such large numbers and such large assets. And frankly, you're dealing with people's lives. Shelter's a pretty big deal. But recently, NAR just lost a lawsuit. You can reference the link in the description below for the articles that we're going to link down there. But price fixing by real estate agents, Wall Street Journal did an article where they basically said that there's a baseline price of 6% commission across the board. And if you've been transacting, especially if you've been transacting with me, you know that that's not the case. And as an agent that's actively in the market that does millions and millions and millions of business every single month, sometimes we're lucky if we find a home that offers a co-op that has a 3% cooperating brokerage that's going to give you 3%, and they're taking 3% as well. In this industry, there are so many different methods and business models to how we help buyers and sellers. There's not one way that buyers and sellers are transacting or real estate agents are operating. That is a fallacy. There are people that I know, some of my best friends, that would never pay 6%. And I can't say, hey, you know what? We're just not going to do business with each other because if you're not paying 6%, I'm not doing it. That would be fixed. That's not how we operate. Most people don't understand, as on the consumer side, that portion is negotiable. I think as time has evolved, we've realized that it is negotiable. However, when you want to, as a seller, and I'm only speaking from my experience, this is one man's opinion, when you are a seller and you want to sell your home, choosing an agent that understands the home, the product, the builder, the area, the schools, marketing, putting your home in front of the right people as often and as frequent as possible, you're going to want the best agent. There are some homes that require more effort, whether you're buying a home or selling a home. Some clients need more attention. There are people that have never bought a home before, and it doesn't matter the price. It could be a $300,000 home or it could be a $3 million home. And just depending on circumstances, this may be their first home, and it doesn't matter the price, but they may need more attention. They may need more time. They may need more explanation around documents. And then you have people that have sold a home 15 years ago and they don't remember the process. You have life events that are happening, and the trauma of those life events has now distorted their vision of what the process is, even if they've just done it a couple years ago. However, as a real estate professional, this is just my opinion, there should be a required amount of transactions that have to be had for a real estate agent to maintain their license. There should be more continuing education around the process and how and why real estate agents are licensed and how they procure the business. Now, there's a difference between being a great salesperson, being a great real estate agent, and just having a real estate license. Those are three different things. Being a great salesperson, you don't have to even know the product. You just understand marketing and sales. And those are two different things. The best marketers aren't always the best salespeople, and they aren't always the best real estate professionals. They just come up the most in your feed, in your mailbox, as referrals, and somehow you end up with this agent that's just the most known. So because they're the most known, maybe they must be the best. That's not always the case. And then like I said, you have great salespeople. When you have great salespeople, they may not be the best marketers, but they can sell anything. They can talk you into selling your home, buying a home, choosing a home over another one. That's just human psychology. But then there are real estate professionals that have a combination of both. They understand sales, they understand marketing, and they understand the product, and they are what we call knowledge brokers. And then there are people that just get their real estate license who have no experience in anything, and these are the charity transactions that give real estate agents a bad rap, just as much as a salesperson that doesn't understand the business or a marketer that doesn't understand the business. We have to really look at the industry in its totality and understand that every transaction is different, every real estate licensee is different, and the end consumer should be more aware and cognizant of who they are selecting to do their transactions with. You cannot blame a real estate agent for putting a home on the market that is over market value when the seller says, I know that the market says this, X, Y, and Z, but this is what I want for a property. Some people may say a home is only worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it, but it's also only worth what a seller is willing to sell that property for. Now, when you have those two different perspectives, when they align where, hey, this is what I'll accept, this is what I'm willing to pay, when those align and there's a transaction, the person that made that happen on this side and the person that made that happen on this side should be compensated. Now, with this lawsuit on price fixing, how will this change how transactions are, entities are compensated on both sides for buyers and sellers? I believe, and I'm starting to see this more and more, especially here in Las Vegas, there are homeowners, home buyers that are coming from other cities. They're contacting me as the listing agent directly, and I have been representing both buyer and seller. But that begs the question, who is the agent that's representing both buyer and seller? Whose favor are they acting in the best interest of? If I'm the listing agent and I sign a listing agreement and it's to sell the home at X dollars, and then this buyer comes and they contact me and say, hey, I'm willing to buy the home, and they're asking $3 million for the home. I'm willing to pay $3 million. Am I getting the client the best deal? And is the seller getting the most amount of money for the home? Now, a home is only worth what a seller is willing to sell for. They want to sell for $3 million. A home is worth only what a buyer is willing to pay for. They want to pay $3 million. In that situation, is that acting in the best interest of the buyer and seller? Now, let's say yes. They go ahead and they get into a contract, they open escrow, earnest money deposit is in, and now they do a home inspection. Now the home inspection revealed things that need to be repaired. The home buyer now wants a credit. Now, I'm representing the buyer. They want to get a deal and they want the repairs fixed. The seller, they want to net the most amount of money possible. Who deems it fair as to what their requests for repairs are? Is it a credit or do I repair those items? Now, whoever handles the agreement of that is now responsible if the process will move forward or not. So, hey, I understand. I look at their home inspection report as a seller and I say, yes, I'm willing to give them a credit based on what it would cost to fix those things. Have them go get a inspector or a contractor, a handyman to give them a bid, and we will give them a credit regarding that. That could be an option as well. That's basically, this is what I want. This is what I'm willing to offer. I think that's fair. But now what about when those perspectives are differing and there has to be a negotiation? I know your home inspection says this. I've been living in this house forever and I live with these things. I'm only willing to fix a couple things. Now there's negotiation. Who's really acting in the best interest of both of these clients? That is the question at hand. However, that same buyer, if we rewind and we go back, and that same buyer wants to buy the home, and as a listing agent, I am going to 100% do everything in my power to market the home. You hire me to sell the home. You hire me to market. You hire me to put the home in front of the most amount of people as frequently and as often as possible. And I did that. Now I have a buyer, that same buyer that comes. I procured that buyer. Is it wrong for me to represent that buyer now because I did the job that you hired me for? You told me that you wanted to sell your home for X amount of dollars and you believe that I can hire the right person because I'm with the #1 luxury brokerage and you guys sell the most amount of real estate in the area. I like you. You have a beautiful family. Yes, I'm going to hire you. I go do the job and now I go bring that buyer Am I really in the wrong for doing the job that you're hiring me for? And then when I get paid and compensated based on the agreement that we made prior to me finding that person, am I at fault? This is where the confusion and the argument has come into play. I'm curious, what do you guys think about this scenario, the scenario that I described, and how consumers are now feeling that commissions have been fixed? I genuinely believe that business should continue. However, my personal opinion is that we should be able to negotiate for buyers and sellers. As a buyer myself, as an investor, as a homeowner, as a home seller, you should be able to negotiate. Am I willing to pay both buyer and seller commissions? I could be if you bring a buyer, then this should be the result. If another agent brings the buyer, I don't know as a homeowner and as a listing agent how many homes that buyer's agent has taken that buyer out to see. How long has it taken that buyer's agent to bring that buyer to your particular home? That's a lot of time and effort on that agent's part to now say you're not willing to pay that buyer agent for bringing the buyer to your home, but then now you're going to put the cost on the buyers, on the actual buyers. Should that be factored into what they pay? It's all right now in question, and I think we're going to be business as usual until something or someone makes a definitive change in our industry and how buyers agents and listing agents are compensated and how the real estate transactions are happening. Again, if you have any feedback or thoughts on this, let's debate in the comments below and reference any articles that I've talked about in the description below. And if you want to buy or sell a home until all this stuff changes, feel free to give me a call, 702-883-7845. I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask.